Now on to the first story, entitled Mother and Kid Try to Steal My Cat from My Backyard. Turns out M's trying to steal a pet from my block for her kid. No joke. This literally happened and my cats are now locked inside. On mobile. To make a long story short, my cats were lead trained to stay in the backyard, so I can let them outside when they're energized. I check on them every 5 minutes and they have stacked outdoor furniture they love to hide in. One cat is very skittish around strangers, and she'll hide, while the other will only bolt if he's wary or energized. Both cats have a "I'm tolerating you" relationship, so when I looked to check on them I was startled to see them both in a corner together. Then I saw the kid and her mother cornering them. I was pretty pissed and rushed out and started yelling at them, scaring the mom and her kid pretty badly. Of course, when my cats saw the open door they rushed to it, and the mom tried to grab them. The female cat lashed out and clawed her hand good, making the M yell and recoil, letting my cats escape inside. The X started crying because the pretty kitties got away, and she wanted a kitty cat now. M yelled at me that she was going to report me for assault, while I yelled from my back door that I was already on the phone with 911 reporting her for trespassing and attempted cat theft. She screamed at me in rage before grabbing her wailing kid and storming out of my yard. I had actually dialed 911, and the dispatcher heard the exchange and assured me that if the M did try to report me it wouldn't work because she was in the wrong. About 10 minutes later cops pulled up and I gave my statement, descriptions, and pointed which direction M and Ek had fled. The cops wrote it all down before one told me that I wasn't the first to call from this area. Apparently, the M had been attempting to lure out other pets her kid wanted. The cops were just trying to figure out who she was. No one, including me, recognized her or her kid, and she was getting more brazen. My yard was actually the first they had trespassed into. My cats are now being locked indoors for the foreseeable future, and I've warned a few of my neighbors who I know to have pets about this in case they didn't know. This entire situation is honestly just bull, as there have already been incidents involving getting pets because of the global situation. But stealing one from their loving family is a low all on its own. On to the second story. M slaps me at a festival because I scared her kid when I was playing on my phone. Hi guys, this is my first post on R and Titlet Parents, so I hope you guys like it. M entitled Mother Me EMK entitled Mother's Son. Before COVID, I and my family used to go to an Armenian festival every summer. But a few years ago, AM slapped me. I was 10 tweet because her kid was scared of what I was playing FNAF on my phone. My favorite game. EMK, hey Redra Lucario, can turn it down, please. Me, sure. EMK, what are you playing anyway? Me, FNAF 2? EMK, can I try? Me, it's scary but sure. EMK gets jump scared and terrified WTF. I see him go to the arcades, so I keep playing. Here comes M. M slaps me. Me, hey WTH. M, were you the one who scared my kid? Me, M, the game with a fox. Me, you mean FNAF? M, yes, why did you scare my son? Me, he said he wanted to PPPL. I'm gonna talk to your mom and you are gonna lose your phone. She doesn't even know her. By scaring my baby, I demand you give me your phone. Me, no. EMK, mom stop, can we leave? I'm gonna go talk to security. I eavesdrop her and she didn't even say my name correctly. I didn't see her for the rest of the festival. I hope you guys liked it. Now to the third story, the fall of entitled Ant. Okay, so, this was a big twist that just happened. It's been radio silent, so I have not had an update. Well, I finally got one. It's around 9 p.m. for me now. I've said this before, but my cousin likes to attack me for being an artist because she's an artist. I cannot be. Read my past stories if you haven't already, it will make sense. This started yesterday and just ended today. Hopes high that my e-back's off. My dad's cousin is a very talented painter. It blows my mind. My aunt kept telling me that she was going to tell my family that I was copying my entitled cousin. I blew her off like normal. She decided to get in touch for the first time in probably 6 years with dad's cousin, we will call him. Big artist. Or Ba. Emails Ba and asks him how she can get me in trouble for copying EC's art. Ba then contacts me knowing the kind of person E is. I sent him the link to my Reddit and he read through my post. He emailed E back asking to see pictures of my EC's art, that way he could see the original pieces compared to my art. He sent him over a dozen drawings that EC had done. He reverses Googled the pictures to find out none of them, not a single one, was originally done by EC. I had already known that though. Ba then tells E that none of the pieces were original. E freaked out. She started accusing Ba of trying to sabotage EC's career. Ba laughed at her, told her I already have my career. I have art all over the world. I don't need to come after a young artist to feel proud of myself. Your daughter's art is not her own. I've seen OP's work and I've never noticed anything being copied. I just proved to you that your daughter's art is not hers. I'm sorry, but Opus is not doing anything illegal, but EC is. When this came out, anyone in the family who had bought art from EC wanted money back. They had only done it to support her, but now that the family has found out that she was attacking me and threatening me, no one wanted to support her anymore. This happened around 4 p.m. yesterday. This leads to Ba posting on his social media about stealing other people's art. He obviously saw this and said that she was going to sue Ba for defamation of character. Ba was not going to have this, and he said that he was just pointing out his opinions of stealing others' art. That is, said nothing or had no mention of what had happened with EC. It was just a post about his opinions. When Ba told my grandma and some other family about and EC trying to sue him, people started turning against and EC. No one has turned to my side yet though, besides Ba and my parents, because they still believe that since EC was to be an artist, since she was born first, I have no place being an artist. On to the fourth story. M destroys a relationship with me because I don't give her enough attention. The story of how she tried to ruin my marriage. Message from my mother to my wife in response to me going no contact after years of abuse. Wife name: just so you know, I blame you and your mother for turning Opus name my son against me and my family. I saw this coming before you were married, but Opus name didn't or wouldn't see it then. I wonder how your mother would feel if the tables were turned and Opus name manipulated and controlled you. What if he put boundaries in to stop you from speaking to your mother? Ask her how she would feel then. When does it stop? Wife name: what next? Have a thought and think about how we are feeling. I am his mother and you have turned him against me. How could you possibly know how it feels for a mother to have her child not speak to her? My mother was very manipulating from when we started dating. My wife was never welcome on Christmas Day, but my mother still expected me to be with her on Christmas. I refused after the first year because it was awful. When I told my mom I was going to propose, she broke down in tears because she was losing me. I left home at 16 and never went back. Met my wife at 24. At my wedding, my mother gave a 10-minute speech and didn't once mention my wife. Just spoke about how she was losing me. Slowly over the years, the discourse wore me down until I had a full-on mental breakdown. I'm still in therapy 3 years later and have had to go full no contact because my mother just will not allow me to happily have a wife. She even went as far as to write me, my wife, and our non-existent children. We are trying but not there yet, out of her will to spite us. And C was always something my wife was against until I made the choice myself. She never wanted me to choose. She did everything to meet my mother's needs the entire time I was sick. Even going so far as to send messages and make calls when my panic attacks prevented me from it. She would include her in group chats, send birthday cards, presents for every occasion, but any act that didn't physically put me at the other end of the country next to my mother was a betrayal. My mother forced the choice on me. I have had to come to the sad conclusion that she isn't willing to change. Before NC happened, there were months of trying to establish basic boundaries. In particular, during my decline into a mental health crisis, she would expect phone calls every day or every other day. But I couldn't deal with the constant conflict. We would agree to weekly conversations, which would work for 2 weeks before a tirade of "this isn't working. I need you to call me more. I need more conversation with you." This conflict just made my mental health even worse. So I would re-establish the boundary and we would try again. 6 months later, and then she called my wife to say the worst things in the world to her. How she was a vile, manipulative bitch, how she had stolen her son, ruined her family, and on and on and on. That day was the day I describe as the mask slipping, and I finally saw my mother's behavior for what it really was. An outright attack on the woman I loved. That day was the day, as I have seen some people describe it, that I grew a shiny new spine. If it's a choice between my mother and the woman who has supported me through my darkest days and stood by me, the woman who made every effort to make my mother a part of our world. Well, that became an easier choice that day. This screenshot was from like 3 months after that. 3 years later, her behavior has only become more extreme. Anyway, a hell of a lot to unpack in all that. Entitled, "Narcissistic Parents Have No Right to Anything from You." Being your egg, sperm donor makes them think you owe them something. You don't owe them jack. On to the fifth story. She's too pretty to be autistic. See, a story coming from my mother. Hello. I'm new here, and I have a story coming straight from my mother. I asked her if I could tell it, so please be free to share anywhere else. However, for privacy reasons, I'll use code names. Context: this takes place when I was 3 years old, so all of the information being told is coming from my mother. as a baby like me back then couldn't remember other people's shit. Here's the cast. Mama, my mother. Me, Fishy. Woof, the woman who thought I was too pretty to have autism. Onto the story. When I was around 2, my parents found out I had autism and ADHD when I went to a doctor's visit. Like the loving parents they were, they still loved me for the beautiful mess I was. However, the 2000 seconds weren't exactly the best for someone having a mental disability. Oblies were running amok, as I put it, and Karens were the most frequent as ever. Mama was walking with me in a stroller at a park near my old house, which was a townhouse. I was munching down on some goldfish crackers. This will be important later, when a woman approached my mother. Woof, oh woo, what a cute little tot. She looks up to my mother, what's her name? Mama, Opus. She's my sweet little angel. She looks down to me, right, Opus. Me, I hold up a goldfish cracker, Fishy. My mom cracks a smile as I giggle. But one way or another, something touched me. It could have been a bug or the leather of the stroller, but my little mind began to panic. I started to stim, which back then was me tugging or grooming my hair. Woof notices this and gasps. Woof, what's going on with her? My mom pauses and then notices what's going on. She bends down to my level and strokes my scalp, which calmed me down immediately. I then happily go back to eating my crackers. However, it seemed like Woof hadn't gotten her answer yet. Woof, looking up to my mother, a worried look on her face. Is she okay? Why was she tugging at her hair? Mama, oh, she was just stimming. It happens when she feels uncomfortable or upset. Woof is confused about what my mother said, but then it clicks for her. Woof, her face looks grim. Oh, I see, she has autism. I'm so sorry. My mom is confused as well, but more importantly, she's a tad ticked off. Mama, I only recently found out, about a year ago. She was diagnosed at a local doctor's office by local doctor. Woof's face turns from pity to disbelief when my mom said that. Woof, local doctor doesn't have any medical experience. I brought my daughter to him, telling him about her broken leg from falling off of her scooter. And he's just said it was a scrape. You shouldn't be taking anything from him. Mama pauses. I've seen local doctor before, and he's the best doctor I've visited yet. He's the only one willing to see Opus. Not many doctors around here are open to those with autism. Woof, but she doesn't have autism. My mother grips onto the stroller handles, wondering how this lady thinks she's the professional doctor around here. Mama, what was that? Woof, your daughter does not have autism. She looks nothing like someone with autism. Plus, autistic people can't talk, yet she can. Local doctor probably told you she had autism just to mess with you. Mama, she grips the handles harder. What are you implying? Woof, you don't get what I'm saying. I'm saying Opus is too pretty to have autism. And there's another thing I can show you that she doesn't have autism. She kneels down to my level. What is 1 + 1? Me too? Woof, she stands back up. See, she can't have autism. Most autistic people are stupid. My mom is physically shaking at this point. However, before she could retaliate against all the bees, Woof said. I spoke up. Me, mean shark. Woof, looking down to me. What? Me, mean shark? Eat salt. I then proceed to throw goldfish crackers at this lady. The woman is either disgusted or annoyed as she glares my mother in the eye as she tries to stop me from throwing my snack. Woof, how could you raise your child like that? What little girl throws food at adults? Me, because the dinosaurs died. Woof, now confused again. What? Me, but one lived. It eats salt. The woman is enraged by my answer, but she only stomps away. After all, she wouldn't want a bad reputation for punching a toddler, would she? Finally, my mom says something to her as she's stalking off. Mama, never, and I mean never, assume someone is too pretty to have autism. End of story. Now let's get to the last story. EM demands extra 10 minutes for a private lesson because she can't internet. This is a story from my workplace. We have English lessons for adults and kids, and some are done on Zoom. Em's kid takes private lessons on Zoom, each for 40 minutes. Normally there is no connection issue and the kid himself is normal. But his mother is notorious for freaking out mid-lesson and demanding to speak with a counselor. That's what we call receptionists for whatever reason. Em is what you'd call a tiger mom, Asian parent who drives their kid nuts over their studies. Well, this kid has a habit of getting up and leaving the Zoom lesson to play around or something. You know he's trying to escape because you'll see Em dart across the camera and yell for kid. Em, sorry. He went to the bathroom. 2 seconds later, off camera, kid. Normally, he comes back with a small grin and continues the lesson. Whatever, but sometimes it gets to the point where kid legit gets upset, and Em is just screaming. Because kid is losing lesson time, Em will demand to speak with a counselor to either add minutes to the lesson or change the schedule altogether. Yesterday took the cake. The kid again decided to take off in the middle of the lesson. Again, here comes M yelling at him to go back. Except for this time, kid just would not budge. He flat out refused. So M disconnects from the Zoom lesson. We thought she was trying to get him to take the lesson, but no, actually, she had zero ideas how to connect her own iPad laptop to Zoom. She called the school and started going on a tirade, saying she can't connect, the Wi-Fi isn't working, Zoom isn't working, yada yada, and then accused the teacher of leaving the lesson he didn't. The Zoom room was still online and you could see the amount of time that had passed. Regardless, she demanded that we add an extra 10 minutes to the next lesson to make up for the time we wasted. Customer has got here. So of course, she gets what she asks for. I'll be Japanese N3, which is intermediate, by May. And I'll hit business level soon after that. So I'll be able to leave the industry soon, but man, some of these EMs that come in here are nuts. Don't even get me started on DDSMs doesn't do shit moms. That's it for the video. See you guys next time.